This is so weird. Oh my god. Can you guys see the difference right now? I don't know if you guys can tell the difference. I sincerely hope that you can, being how dramatically different it looks in here, but I have actual lights. It makes such a difference. 6 o'clock at night, it's storming outside, there's no light in this room, and this is like the best I've ever looked. I'm shocked. Hi guys, it's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you all of the books, TV shows, and movies I consumed in the month of August. Let's get on into all of the books that I read, because I did read quite a few in August. August was a pretty good reading month for me. We had Booktubeathon, and that always helps my reading every year. I just want to put my hair up though. I'm just gonna do it. Let me do a thumbnail first, and then I'll put my hair up. The first book that I read in the month of August was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This is one of my new favorite books of the entire year, without even a question. It has so much of what I love about YA fantasy. But we follow two queens who live thousands of years apart. Rielle is living in a land of magic, and in this book, most people who possess magic only possess one type of magic, whether it be earth magic, wind magic. But Rielle actually has the ability to possess all the magics, and so someone who is bestowed with this ability fulfills this prophecy to become the Sun Queen. So her society thinks she is the Sun Queen, and she has to go through a set of trials to prove that she is in fact the Sun Queen. Several thousands of years later, we follow Eliana, and in her world, magic does not exist anymore, and the legend of the infamous Blood Queen has lived on for centuries. They know Rielle as being this bloodthirsty, horrific, murderous queen. There is so much goodness in this book. Magic, suspense, there's mystery, there's betrayal, there's romance. I loved both Rielle's and Eliana's romance. Rielle's kind of in a forbidden lovers kind of situation, whereas Eliana is like a hate to love romance. Those are both amazing romance tropes, and I love them whenever I read them. Ate this up. I would compare this to Throne of Glass if Throne of Glass was more widely liked. There are definitely things that people don't like about Throne of Glass, but I think those things that people don't like about it are done better and remedied in this. Like, she took all the problems of Throne of Glass and made them solutions and addressed them, and so this kind of has the same feel of like the magic and the kingdoms and the princes and the princesses and the forbidden love and the assassins. But it's a whole lot better for those people who don't like the things that Sarah Maas just doesn't do correctly. I freaking love this. I can't wait for the sequel to come out, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because there's no way I couldn't give this anything else. So after that, the next book I read for Booktubeathon was Warcross by Marie Lu. This is the first book in a new duology from Marie Lu, where we follow a young girl named Emika Chen. This game Warcross is incredibly popular. Everybody plays it. It's this virtual reality game, and Emika, being a bounty hunter, will go into the Warcross game kind of undercover to help hunt down different criminals and collect bounties on them. In one instance, she accidentally glitches herself into the Warcross tournament championships. Creator of Warcross gives her a proposition to help him find someone who is planting dangerous material within the Warcross game. I am a huge fan of Marie Lu's trilogy Legend, and this is actually a precursor to Legend. That alone is enough to sell me. This just felt so much more like Legend, being that it takes place in the same world. I read The Young Elites, and The Young Elites just didn't connect with me in the way that I wanted it to. I did really enjoy this. I do have to say though, I thought that the twist was incredibly obvious and predictable, and it would have been fine if it was set, you know, like setting you up for an even bigger reveal, but like that was the only reveal. It left me feeling a little unsatisfied in the end. Once we had the reveal, there was like a lot of resolution time. I would have preferred for it to just end like a couple chapters sooner after that big reveal and kind of leave us on a cliffhanger. Would have made that lackluster reveal a little bit more lustful, I think. So I was a little disappointed by that. Overall, I loved the world. I really like how vibrant, colorful, and beautiful it is. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read for Booktubeathon was The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. In this story, we follow a girl named Harriet who is really down on her luck. Her mother passed away. She owns money to a loan shark. Her business is floundering. She's just not in a good place. She gets a letter in the mail from an estate attorney saying that this woman left her a portion of her estate and she needs to come claim this money. Harriet's like, that is not me. You have the wrong Harriet Westaway. So initially she ignores the requests until the loan shark starts to come down on her, and then she decides to go and impersonate this person, infiltrate this family, and con them from their money. Really, really enjoyed this. This was such a classic mystery. It wasn't really a thriller. It definitely wasn't a psychological thriller. It was a classic just mystery, and you're trying to put all these pieces together and figure out what the truth is. And she sets it up in a way where she gives you the answer, but you don't realize she's giving you the answer. She gives you all these other details that don't add up, and you're like, but wait, because of this hair color or this eye color or this birthday or whatever, it can't be this person. But she purposely writes it in a way to mislead you, and it's incredible. I could not believe how well she like led us on and led us down the right path, but it was just so deceiving. She definitely is very good at diverting your attention from what's actually going on, but then really telling you what's going on at the same time. It was just really well done. And the ending was definitely suspenseful, and I was on the edge of my seat, but it wasn't like the best mystery thriller. It was just crafted so well that I couldn't not appreciate how well it was done. So in the end, I gave this a 4 to 5 stars as well. The next book that I read in August was Every Day by David Levithan. It's very meh. I finished it and my first reaction was, that was fine. There was nothing super extraordinary about it, nothing super groundbreaking or riveting, nothing super unique. Follow this character named A, who is not really of any physical being. They just spend one day in everybody's body, and then the next day they wake up as somebody else. So they live the life of whatever person they're inhabiting for the day. That was a really interesting concept, and David Levithan had a lot of really interesting commentary surrounding gender and identity, which I thought was really important. At the same time, there was a lot of like really negative talk about overweight characters in this book. It says some pretty prejudiced things about this character's weight. So while there was some great conversation about race and gender, there wasn't about body type. It did things well, but then other minority groups, it totally slammed. It also had one of the biggest instances of insta-love that I have ever read. It wakes up as this character, Justin, goes out on a date with Justin's girlfriend, Rhiannon, and then is just like infatuated with Rhiannon. The rest of the book revolves around wooing Rhiannon and proving to her that this relationship is viable. A is just so obsessed with Rhiannon. A starts to ruin several other people's lives to just stay with Rhiannon. Purposely ditches school to go visit her, purposely ruins weddings and family vacations. Why? There was no good reason why. Like the insta-love was just too much for me. So while it did things that I liked, it also did things that I didn't like. So in the end, I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in August is Walk the Edge by Katie McGarry. This is the second book in the Thunder Road trilogy, which is that biker trilogy that I gushed about endlessly in my July wrap-up. So it is a set of 3 companion books where we follow a different character within the biker club for each book. So in this one we follow one of Oz's friends, Razor. Razor is very unpredictable. He's super quiet. He's one of those kids that make people really uneasy because he doesn't really say much. So he's just like a really unsettling guy to be around. We also follow this girl named Brianna. Brianna is the 5th of 9 kids, so she's right in the middle. And she's kind of always stepped over. Like her older siblings think that she's too young. Her younger siblings think that she's too old. Her parents rely on her to do pretty much everything. Brianna just really, really wants to break out. She just wants to be this adventurous person that she feels like she's always been but never been allowed to express. So throughout the book we follow Razor and Brianna as their paths cross. They start to form this relationship that neither Brianna's parents or Razor's biker club will really support. They also have like this deal going where Razor will protect Brianna from this guy at school if Brianna helps Razor solve his mother's death. She died by a parent suicide. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I loved Razor and Brianna's relationship. It's very different from Oz and Emily, and we do get to see Oz and Emily again in this one. They were the main characters from the first one. Brianna is just like a very different person from Emily. She's way more outgoing and just like overall accepting of all the weird quirks of this biker club. And I just really liked their relationship. I really like the way that she writes these loyal main characters who are just very devoted to their family, to their friends, to what's important to them. They really stand up for those people in their lives. With that being said though, I did prefer Oz and Emily to Brianna and Razor, just because Oz and Emily have this I hate you but I like you kind of romance, which is always such a treat to read. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the first one, but I still highly recommend it and I still loved it. Ended up giving Walk the Edge a 4 out of 5 stars. And the final book that I read in the month of August was a reread for me, and that was The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I'm not going to say too much about this book because I did do an entire very long book talk when I read it the first time. I'll link it on the screen if you want to check it out. But this is the bind up of the 5 Throne of Glass novellas that take place before Throne of Glass. So we follow Selena as she is actively an assassin, going on missions, wreaking havoc, and what happens that leads to her getting captured and put in the salt mines at the beginning of Throne of Glass. And I definitely enjoyed this more the second time around. I picked out all of the references that come up in the later books, obviously, because I had read them all. Really like how she tied all of these novellas back into the storyline somehow. And it's just so cool to see how she managed to pull these stories that she had written way before she wrote any of the rest of the story back in later books. I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So those were all of the books that I read in the month of August. Let's go ahead and talk about the TV shows that I watched. So in August, I continued my watch of Riverdale Season 2 on Netflix. I haven't gotten much further into this. I'm still enjoying what I'm watching. It's not holding my attention as much as Season 1 did. Season 1 I watched in basically a weekend, and Season 2 is just not gripping me in the same way. The mystery isn't as compelling. I'm struggling a little bit to finish it, but I am still very slowly making my way through Season 2 of Riverdale. So let's go ahead and talk about the 2 movies that I watched in August. The first one that I watched was Ant-Man and the Wasp. I have to say, I'm so surprised by my reaction to this movie. I really didn't much care for Ant-Man. Ant-Man and the Wasp? Dang. This is a fantastic sequel. It's not often the sequels are as good as the first ones. I love partnership of Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's so much more interesting to have them working together or even like fighting each other. Like, I didn't care. Just them on screen together was another layer to the story. I really liked how we had the whole fallout from Civil War explored in here and like what Scott's been up to since, you know, he was busted in the post-credits scene where we get the tie-in to Infinity War. I have so many questions. I just much preferred this story arc. I thought the villain in the first movie was pretty lackluster, but in this one it was just so much better. Obviously the other movie that I watched this month was To All the Boys I Loved Before on Netflix. I've watched this movie so many times. Like, I think I watched it 3 times the day it came out because it's perfection. I haven't read this book in quite a few years, so I can't speak to how accurate it is plot-wise, but I definitely think it captured the feel and the essence and like the spirit of the book. I loved Peter Kavinsky, which is so weird because I did not like him in the book. He grew on me towards the end, but he wasn't a favorite character at all, and in the second book, I rooted for John McLaren. So the fact that they were able to make me love Peter Kavinsky so much, and I don't understand why you always have to call him Peter Kavinsky. Like, his name is just Peter, but why does he have to have a first and last name every time I say it? I just really, really hope that this resurgence for the books now puts Netflix in a position to adapt the second one. It definitely took plot points from both the first and the second book and combined them into one storyline in the first movie just to make it a more like seamless arc, because this particular storyline definitely spans the end of book 1 and like the beginning of book 2, and I like how they kind of took the whole thing and put it into this movie. But it'll be interesting to see what that does for a potential sequel. I want so much more of these two characters. This was just done so perfectly. I loved it so much, and it's like one of my favorite movies I've seen all year. The only casting choice I really had an issue with was the older sister Margot. The person who plays Mona from Pretty Little Liars, Janelle Parrish, she is like 30. Okay, why? Why? You're telling me that there is no other Asian American actress that's about the age of 19? Like, you had to cast a 30-year-old? Nothing she ever did convinced me she was 19. Like, I feel like they only picked her because she's pretty well known and then they could draw on her fans from Pretty Little Liars, but she wasn't believable and I didn't like her. So that is it. Those are all of the books, movies, and TV shows that I read, watched, consumed, enjoyed in the month of August. I would love to know what you did in August. Tell me in the comments down below. I would love to chat. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will talk to you very soon. Bye!